Alright, let's get this out of the way. This is my first proper video essay and honestly, I'm nervous as hell. My name, well, let's leave it for another time. I'm not even sure if this video will land and if the channel will find the audience I'm looking for. So, if I'm lucky, I'll talk about it later. When the Doom Dark Ages landed and started the biggest franchise debate in years, I knew this was the game I had to break down. So I waited till everyone went to sleep, grabbed all my gear and came down here to my parking garage to record this. So if you're going to analyze your first game, it might as well be the one that's got everyone arguing about what Doom should even be. Before we go deeper, I need to be transparent about something. I'm naturally a slower paced player. The shield-heavy, more methodical approach of Dark Ages actually suits my playstyle better than Eternal's breakneck weapon switching. I genuinely love this game more than its predecessors, but that's exactly why I wanted to understand why Dark Ages received less enthusiastic love from the community than 2016 and Eternal. I believe I know why now. And when you look at it from the perspective of players who mastered Eternal's complex systems, who lived for that flow state perfection, Eternal probably is objectively the better game. But sometimes understanding why something works helps you appreciate what you love about what doesn't. Let's cut it to chase. Doom the Dark Ages is here, and for the first time in decades, the franchise didn't just tweak the formula, it swung a battle axe through it like a Hell Knight through an Arachnotron. We're looking at the longest, boldest and most divisive Doom campaign ever built from the ground up to challenge everything you think you know about demon slaying. But here is where it gets complicated. This isn't just another it's a good or bad conversation. Dark Ages represents something rarer, a AAA game that genuinely innovates, then immediately second guesses itself. It's a technical masterpiece that's also a philosophical puzzle, a game that could have redefined what first-person shooters can be but chose safety over revolution at crucial moments. Is this truly evolution, or is it something more troubling? A glimpse of what happens when a legendary studio creates something brilliant, then gets scared of their own ambition. Today I'm breaking down what's actually new, what's just noise, and why these game discussions may be the most important conversation about game design philosophy we've had in years. Before we judge whether Dark Ages commits franchise heresy, we need to establish what Doom's DNA actually contains. For over 30 years, Doom has been the touchstone of three core principles. Doom has never been about taking cover or playing it safe. From the original's corridor sprints to Eternal's aerial ballet, Doom is about aggressive confidence. The moment you stop moving forward, you're not just tactically disadvantaged, you're philosophically betraying what the game represents. Every great Doom game gives you tools that feel impossibly powerful, then forces you to earn that power through skill. Doom doesn't hand you power, it makes you prove you deserve it. When Doom clicks, when you're in the zone, time dilates, reactions become instinctive, and you achieve digital transcendence. The 2016 reboot reminded everyone what flow state means, eternal turn that flow into the PhD level course in FPS design. That's why the Dark Ages felt seismic, heavier, more deliberate, unapologetically medieval. This is a game that's not afraid to slow you down and force you to choose your battles. The question is, does it still demand greatness from its players? Let's get specific about what's new, what's gone, and what these changes reveal about id Software's confidence in their own innovation. The biggest shift is the Shield Saw, your new lifeline that blocks parries and becomes a buzzsaw projectile. This isn't just a new weapon, it's a new philosophy. Instead of dodging everything, you're meant to stand your ground and deflect attacks. When it works, successful parries create satisfying feedback, stagger enemies, and charge your melee attack. The shield throw lets you ricochet between enemies like a medieval frisbee of death. It's genuinely innovating when the game forces you to use it. I have to give credit where it's due. The new weapons are genuinely fantastic. The flail that extends to crush distant enemies, the skull-grinding machine gun, the chain cannon with its explosive projectiles. Each one feels unique and satisfying to use. I actually felt guilty for defaulting back to the shotgun so often because these creative tools deserve more attention. But the guilt itself reveals the problem. When the path of least resistance, shotgun spam, is so smooth and effective, it takes conscious effort to engage with the game's innovations. The weapons are cool enough that you want to use them, but the game design doesn't make you need to use them. Here is the crucial detail. You only encounter 2-3 enemies types that actually require parrying. Everything else completely optional. You can handle the vast majority of enemies with traditional run and gun tactics, making the shield feel like a cool toy rather than the essential tool. This reveals the game's central problem, in my opinion: innovation without conviction. Dark Ages creates brilliant new mechanics, then apologizes for them by providing familiar alternatives. This is the biggest Doom campaign ever. 22 levels and more than 18 hours, but no multiplayer. Every resource went into single-player excellence. The scale is genuinely impressive. Battles with more than 40 demons, environmental destruction, set pieces that feel pulled from heavy metal album cover. But the campaign includes semi-open world elements that actively work against Doom identity. You spend significant time hunting collectibles and solving puzzles, activities that destroy the flow state that makes Doom special. When a Doom game makes you regularly consult your map, something fundamental has been lost. The dragon flight sequences deserve special mention, and not in a good way. While they look spectacular in trailers, flying the dragon feels surprisingly stiff and arcade-like. You're essentially locked into on-rail shooting galleries, hovering in place while dodging predictable attacks in what feels like a throwback to 80s arcade cabinets. The chase sequences where you pursue hell ships through narrow corridors provide brief moments of genuine excitement, but they're surrounded by static turret encounters that feel more like tech demos than engaging gameplay. It's spectacle that prioritizes screenshot moments over meaningful interaction. The Atlan Mechs section follow a similar pattern of impressive visuals undermined by shallow mechanics. It's undeniably cool to pilot a building-sized war machine, throwing massive punches and unleashing devastating weapons. The sense of scale is generally impressive when you're trading blows with demon titans. It's the closest we'll get to Pacific Rim, the video game, but here's the problem. Even Guillermo del Toro's robots had more complex control schemes than this. The gameplay never evolves beyond its initial 2-button concept: punch, dodge, repeat, punch, dodge, repeat. There's no learning curve, no mastery to achieve, no reason to replay these sections beyond their initial novelty. They exist to generate epic trailer moments, not to challenge your skills or expand the gameplay vocabulary. At least in Pacific Rim, the pilots had to be neurally compatible. Here, you just need 2 functional fingers. These design choices feel less like creative vision and more like serving priorities we can't immediately see. The numbers tell one story. 86 out of 100 on Metacritic, 86% positive on Steam at the time I record this, but the language critics and fans use reveal something more complex. I would call it praise with asterisks. Like on IGN, they said it replaces Eternal's mobility with a very weighty and powerful style of play that is different from anything the series has done before, and still immensely satisfying on its own way. Notice the qualifier, in its own way. This is critics speak for this works, but it's not what made previous games special. 9 out of 10, by the way. PC Gamer, I cannot sing the praises of the Shield so loud enough. But it's also dumbed down and undeniably the easiest of the trilogy. Even positive reviews acknowledge the mechanical simplification. Dark Ages embodies what modern AAA development gets wrong about innovation. Creating new systems while making them optional destroys this purpose. I would call it innovation paradox. What worked before? Doom Eternal had strong opinion about how you should play, right? It didn't force specific weapon-enemy combinations, but it rewarded mastery and punished button mashing, right? It was demanding without being restrictive. What Dark Ages does: provides multiple paths to every goal, ensuring no player gets stuck on challenging mechanics. You can complete the entire game with just a shotgun. That's not player freedom, it's mechanical surrender. Eternal says, learn our systems or struggle. Dark Ages is like, try our system or don't, or whatever works. And there is something else, something I will call the accessibility trap. Dark Ages confuses accessible with optional. True accessibility makes challenging systems easier to learn through better tutorials and clearer feedback. False accessibility makes challenging systems skippable entirely. But this raises an uncomfortable question. Accessible to whom and for what purpose? The result? Players complete the game feeling entertained but not accomplished. They've been accommodated, not challenged. This reflects broader AAA trends towards innovation without conviction. Publishers want the marketing benefits of new mechanics without the commercial risks of demanding mastery. Doom has never stood still, but here is what made previous reinventions work. Conviction. This is something I talked a lot today. Doom 3 committed completely to horror atmosphere. even when fans complained about the flashlight mechanics. Doom 2016 committed to Glory Kills system that forced close quarters aggression. Eternal committed to complex resource management that initially frustrated casual players. When Sony Santa Monica reimagined God of War, they didn't provide escape hatches back to the old system. Players had to learn the new over-the-shoulder perspective, the new X-based combat, the new progression system. There was no classic mode. This forced engagement created genuine appreciation over time. Dark Ages innovates genuinely. The shield system is unlike anything previous Doom games, but it lacks the conviction to make the innovation necessary. Every new system comes with an escape hatch to players who don't want to engage with it. You can clearly see this pattern, right? Revolutionary shield mechanics that only 2-3 enemies actually require. Weapon variety expansion, but you can complete the game with just shotgun. Exploration systems that reward engagement but never demand it. Boss encounters that can be defeated without mastering new mechanics, except the last one, I think. And here is another successful counterexample: Breath of the Wild. They removed traditional Zelda progression gating entirely. These games like God of War, Zelda, and some others, a lot of others actually, they succeeded because they committed completely to their visions, even when that meant initially alienating some fans. id Software delivered their most technically impressive game, and this excellence make the design compromises more frustrating, not less. What they achieved is flawless optimization across platforms, massive battles without performance degradation, environmental destruction that enhances rather than distracts from the gameplay. This represents genuine technical artistry. The engine could clearly handle more demanding gameplay systems. id Software chose not to implement them. The question becomes, what external factors may influence a studio to choose restraint over ambition? Perfect performance amplifies the sense that the gameplay systems are holding back rather than pushing forward. Dark Ages isn't just one game, it's a case study in how modern development handles the tension between innovation and commercial safety. AAA games not very often introduce something interesting and new, and when they do, they make them optional, adding challenging systems while providing easy alternatives. This creates impressive demos and trailers while undermining long-term engagement. We now see more games that impress initially but lack lasting depth. More innovations that exist for marketing rather than gameplay enhancement. Modern revenue models already reshaped how many games got designed. This is not for the player's favor, of course. Do we have the alternative? Well, games that commit fully to their innovations, respecting players enough to challenge them, creating the kind of passionate engagement that sustains franchises across decades. The question is, will id Software interpret Dark Ages' commercial success as validation for accommodation of a challenge, or recognize that lukewarm enthusiasts' reception suggests a need for more confident design? The answer shapes not just Doom's future, but the future of AAA risk-taking generally, which are not that often these days, and that should be recognized or even praised, if you wish. In an industry increasingly dominated by safe sequels, live service cash grabs, and analyzed franchises, id Software chose genuine experimentation over guaranteed profits. They could have delivered Doom Eternal 2 with new maps and call it a day. Instead, they risked alienated their core audience to explore what Doom could become in 2025. That creates courage even when it doesn't land perfectly. After analyzing every system and compromise, we arrive at a complex conclusion. The Dark Ages is simultaneously one of 2025's most technically impressive games and one of the most philosophically conflicted. What it achieved? Well, the flawless optimization and visual spectacle. The genuine innovation, shield mechanics that create new FPS possibilities. Scale achievement, the largest, most epic Doom battles ever. Broader appeal, successfully welcomed players who found Eternal overwhelming. And then we have what it compromised. Mechanical conviction, every innovation comes with escape hatches. Flow state design, exploration interrupts rather than enhances momentum. Achievement satisfaction, optional mastery creates hollow victories. Community investment, lukewarm enthusiast response suggests missed connection. And you've probably noticed that throughout this entire analysis I've been dancing around something, hinting at a missing puzzle piece that could explain these design choices. There's been an elephant in the room that connects Dark Ages to its new reality under Microsoft ownership, and it's time we address it directly. The Game Pass factor. I've seen complaints from gamers that Game Pass heavily influences Dark Ages design choices, with some arguing that Microsoft's subscription model forced its software to prioritize broad accessibility over the challenging gameplay that made Doom legendary. It's an intriguing theory that deserves examination, but the reality is more nuanced than simple corporate interference. Honestly, I think this explanation is a bit of a stretch, as the primary driver behind Dark Ages compromises. The timeline doesn't quite work. This game was likely in development for 4 years, maybe, with many core design decisions locked in before Game Pass became Microsoft's dominant strategy. Moreover, id Software has always been experimental. Third Doom's horror pivot, Rage's open world, even Doom 2016's Glory Kill system all show a studio willing to take creative risks long before subscription services existed. Most tellingly, Doom Eternal launched on Game Pass while maintaining its extremely demanding, still intensive design philosophy. But here is where Game Pass influence becomes undeniable. Those open-world exploration segments. The collectible haunting, environmental puzzles, and semi-open level design serve one clear purpose: padding playtime metrics. These elements don't enhance Doom's core identity. They actively work against it. When a Doom game makes you regularly stop to consult your map and hunt for upgrades, that's not creating vision, that's engagement hour optimization. The exploration padding feels extremely disconnected from what makes Doom special, suggesting external pressure to meet content exploration that have nothing to do with demon slaying excellence. In a Game Pass world, 18-hour campaign looks much better in marketing than focused 8-hour experience, even if those 8 hours would be infinitely more memorable than replayable. So while the core combat compromise likely stemmed from creative anxiety rather than business calculation, those flow state killing exploration segments, well, that's metrics-driven design, pure and simple. My personal final score for Doom: The Dark Ages is 8 out of 10. A technical excellence, creative compromise, a game worth playing for technical achievement and glimpses of brilliance, but not worth mastering because mastery was never truly required. When developers create something genuinely innovative, they need the courage to trust it. Players need to support games that respect them enough to demand excellence. And what do you think? Does Dark Ages represent successful evolution or beautiful compromise? Let me know in the comments. Hit that like button if you survived this analysis. Subscribe for more deep dives into gaming's biggest risks and rewards. And remember, the best games don't just entertain you, they make you better. See you in the next one.